Want to say a quick thank you to my YouTube and Patreon members and supporters. If you would like to support the future creation of content on this channel, get some few extra perks and some art sent to your door every month, consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. Details and links are in the video description. To say there are differences in Final Fantasy VII Remake is not exactly a stretch, right? There are a number of things that are changing, moving forward, from the game, the story itself, and everything, to even the way the game is being made, moving to Unreal 5 and all that other kind of stuff. But one of the undeniable constants in this is the debate about Jenova, right? So in Final Fantasy VII Remake, there's no doubt that Jenova is, in some ways, pulling the strings of what's going on behind the scenes with the characters and the story and everything, even down to her name, the confrontation you have with her, Jenova Dreamweaver. Everything going on with changing fate and changing the course of this time loop that they're all currently in. To change it to work in the favor of Sephiroth during this time loop. So it works out differently than the previous time loops. Sephiroth has changed. I really think it's wild that they're leaning into everything with the motherly kind of bond with Sephiroth and everything. It almost feels like Jenova is watching over her kid. And I know that Sephiroth is not her kid, like we think of a mother and a child or familial ties. But it does bring to light a couple of different things about Jenova that they're exploring in Remake, and I wanted to get into it real quick. So what's happening is Sephiroth, his consciousness, his body is trapped. He's imprisoned, his soul, whatever, if you will. I believe his physical body is still in the Northern Crater, as it has always been. His physical body is still in the Northern Crater. But at the end of the game, when you are manipulated by Sephiroth and you're breaking him out of jail, basically, that prison that his soul or his essence or whatever you want to call it is entrapped in, when that fissure opens to go into that area, that's potent, because that's a combination of Jenova's power, Sephiroth's power, being tricked into going in there. Now, Sephiroth appears in a number of ways throughout the game. Whenever it is a clone, like one of the test subjects, the Jenova S-Cell test subjects, I believe that's a sentient Jenova manipulating things, right? Messing with Cloud specifically, because Cloud is so integral in everything. Sephiroth knows what's going to happen. Sephiroth is connected with Jenova in the storyline. You can almost look at them as one entity, but separate entities, if that makes any sense. So the other version of Sephiroth we see throughout the game is when Cloud has those mental breaks. That is Sephiroth directly manipulating Cloud from the beyond. Right? He's in his head. Like, the link that Sephiroth and Cloud share is because of Jenova cells or whatever. But I think the game is going to go much, much, much deeper with that. There is something deeper going on with Cloud and Sephiroth that doesn't really have anything to do with Jenova. That has something to do with them. And they're kind of like, eternal struggle against each other. But Jenova, the whole Dreamweaver aspect of Jenova, and the fact that everything we're seeing right now can be changed and is being changed. And by the end of the game, when the party, and make no mistake, the party is manipulated into going and doing what the villains want at the end of the story, challenging the Harbingers of Fate, all the Whisperers and everything, getting rid of them. They are very much doing the bidding of the villains in that it changes things. So it's a great plot twist. I love the way they went with it. The whole aspect of what they see is not real. Everything's an illusion almost. Think Bleach and Aizen's Bankai, right? Not even his Bankai, his Shikai release. So think of, he can make you see whatever you want to see. He can manipulate every one of your senses, right? Jenova is the same way. Her ability of mimicry and being able to change what she wants you to see. It's almost like her abilities can control every one of your senses. And Cloud has the S Jenova cells within him. And who knows what else. I've theorized that he might even have like Cetra cells in him, Cetra DNA from Infalna. And that could be why Aerith is so drawn to him. She senses something familial about him. I mean, that's I did a video on that. I don't want to get off on that separate set of train tracks, but everything with Jenova is fascinating that they're doing in this. In the beginning, I wasn't completely sure. I wasn't completely convinced that Jenova wasn't more than just a power-up for Sephiroth. I still think she's very much a power-up for Sephiroth, but she's not just a power-up for Sephiroth. Sephiroth is the villain. He is the coup de grace villain of this game. By no stretch of the imagination do I think they need to deviate from making Sephiroth the final boss fight and the final hurdle to save the planet. I think it'll be a story that's told of escalation, right? So right now Jenova's helping Sephiroth. You free Sephiroth's soul in the first game and remake. A lot of you all have come out and said that you think that Reunion is going to be the name of the second game. I get behind that 100%. You all did a great job with that. That is a great theory. I like that a lot. And I'm gonna up it one more. Reunion in this game will not be just the reunion of Jenova's cells and every being that has her cells and Jenova, the reunion of Jenova. It will be the reunion of Sephiroth. I think by the end of Game 2, in Game 1 you free his soul, in Game 2 you will free his body. There will be a reunion of Sephiroth's soul and his body, armed with all the knowledge of the previous time loops that he has taken in from the live stream, with Jenova's help. So Jenova and Sephiroth in tandem. There's a lot going on there. And so Jenova is, by the end of the story, she will be completely being used by Sephiroth. Like, in some way this could be Jenova's plan, but Sephiroth is going to take the controls. He is going to take control of the tank and do what he wants to with it. And I think that's his plan. I think there's two villainy plans going on here just between the two of them. I think Jenova's got this idea to remake the world and her original goals for when she came after the Cetra years ago and everything. It's really like an it, right? I mean, Jenova is very much alien. So, and actually very much Lavos from Chrono Cross, just Chrono Trigger, still just fleshed out a lot more, right? Well, we're going to get into that in another video I've got coming later this week, the parallel between Lavos and Jenova. But it's going to start, this is all kind of Jenova's manipulation in the beginning of the game, except for what Cloud sees. That's the wild card in the game, right? That's the wild card in the story. That's why people get so confused by all these different Sephiroths, right? The Sephiroth you fight at the end of the game is his freed soul, the freed essence of Sephiroth in that Dreamweaver dimension, the manipulation is on full scale there. And everybody's free to kind of pick and choose what they think it might be, because we don't really know yet. I think that is a dimension opened up by Jenova and her illusions. I think it's opened up, and that's where the Whispers, and that's where Sephiroth's body or his soul and everything is imprisoned. And she opens the portal, she opens the way to go in and free him, basically. So with all that going on, you free Sephiroth's soul at the end of the game from the purple prison, even the purple all around him and everything. And plus, that's Jenova's colors, right? That's Jenova's colors. And then when you fight him at the end of the game, when you're doing the one-winged angel battle with him and everything, that is right out of Advent Children. They even change the tone and the saturation of the color palettes, the way the screen looks. They change the whole film grain to look like Advent Children. So you're going through that again. So you're playing through these different phases of Sephiroth. It's not the same Sephiroth, we know that. Jenova, I am fully convinced now, is most likely the one that fed Sephiroth this information. And we're going to find out more about that in game 2, especially when we get to the Shinra Mansion. That scene in the Shinra Mansion where he's researching about his mother and everything. There's going to be, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff that comes out for that. So I'm really excited for that. I can't wait to see what they do with that moving forward. And now I'm kind of on the train that Jenova's more of a character factor. Like, I didn't look at her as much of a character factor before because she was a thing. She was always a power-up. But now she's going to be more of a character. I don't think she's going to be voiced or anything like that. I think it'll be everything about her will come through the story, come through the words of others. And it'll be mainly Sephiroth, but maybe some Hojo in there as well. And if you think that everybody in that lab was experimented on with the S Jenova cells or the Jillian cells or whatever, you know, like Red 13. Red 13 has Jenova cells within him. So you've got a lot of different things going on in the story. That's a video for another time. I'm back on the train, you all. I'm back on the horse. I've got so many theory and idea videos written down, plus some other stuff we got going on. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, make sure you lock it in here. Consider becoming a YouTube or Patreon member so you get all the goodies I got rolling out over this weekend and starting the beginning of next week. We got a lot of new stuff happening here on the channel. Twitch.tv/Ray Coffman. I'm playing Chrono Cross right now. That game's an absolute masterpiece. I've said it from the beginning. I will say it till the end. That game is a masterpiece. 11 out of 10. 11 out of 10. Forever will be. One of the greatest games ever made. But y'all have a great night. Be safe. Be good to each other. Keep rocking. Your boy is back, and I will be back tomorrow with Mo. Y'all have a great night.